the wake of World War II, the US government is engaged in a large number of secret medical experiments designed to help win the Cold War. Developing techniques for mind control to create a so-called Manchurian candidate. What is the extent of these brainwashing experiments? How did the CIA become involved in such far-reaching and disturbing research?
Man is on a quest to develop machines that read each other's thoughts. There have already been key breakthroughs, but how close are we to actual mind control?
Is it possible that hackers of the future could somehow manage to peek inside our own heads? Yes.
We'll uncover a machine that could soon read the mind of a terrorist before he attacks. A man who makes a telephone call just by thinking about it. People who say their thoughts are already being hacked by an outside force.
One possible strand of mind control would be a sort of thought theft.
This technology can empower the mind to do remarkable things.
Come here, I want to see you.
Or reprogram us to do things against our will.
The barrier between science and science fiction is all but evaporated.
It's a power ripped right from the pages of comic books. Perhaps the most famous fictional character with this remarkable skill is Professor X, founder and leader of the X-Men. Using his power of telepathy, he can read, control, and influence people's minds at will. Hollywood had another take on mind control. The 1962 film The Manchurian Candidate raised the specter of a remote-controlled soldier who was brainwashed by his communist captors during the Korean War. After returning home, is an unwitting assassin programmed to kill a U.S. presidential candidate. It's a chilling plot, and one that seems virtually impossible. Can we really take control of this mysterious wrinkled lump of jelly in our skull we call the brain? That's Impossible has assembled a to-do list. 1. Crack the code on how the brain processes information. 2. Develop the technology to tap into, even steal, thoughts. 3. Perfect the means to remote control another person's actions. Right now, in secret and public, scientists are working on the important first step to reading the mind. But how? The brain's complexity dwarfs that of any existing computer. There are approximately 100 billion nerve cells, or neurons, in the human brain, almost as numerous as the stars in the Milky Way. Each of these cells has a negative electrical charge inside the cell and a positive charge along the outside of the cell membrane, in essence creating a tiny electric battery. Think of it as the brain's software, the world's most sophisticated search engine.
Inside our heads, the nerve cells are all engaged in kind of a telephone-like conversation, one speaking to the next, and as the information is going through, each neuron is listening to all of its neighbors, giving rise to more and more complicated signal processing inside our brains.
But the first critical step to cracking the code of how the brain processes information is being able to listen in on these millions of telephone-like conversations all taking place at once. Believe it or not, as information passes through the brain, the electrical impulses between neurons can be heard. This is the actual sound of a brain neuron firing. So in a way, we can literally hear thoughts. But how do we translate those sounds so we know what the person is thinking? At Brown University, they are working with tiny computer chips that can be implanted into the brain to transmit neuron impulses to a computer for mind-reading interpretation. It's like connecting your iPod to a computer and downloading music. Scientists can now connect your brain to a computer. Their goal is to help the mentally impaired.
So this is the next generation sensor system.
Dr. John Donahue is director of the Institute for Brain Science at Brown University. He's developed a remarkable piece of technology that can hardwire our brain to a computer.
It consists of the same electrode array, the baby aspirin-sized 100 electrode array that goes into just the surface of the brain.
This tiny chip monitors 100 different neurons as they fire. The firing pattern is displayed on this grid.
These spikes, these electrical impulses that come out. We know that's a language of the brain, a rapid communication system for the brain.
What if there was a machine that could crack this code and interpret what these spikes mean? There is. It's called BrainGate, and it was developed by Dr. Donahue. The way it works is that the tiny chip he's holding in his hand can be implanted in a person's brain. The chip picks up electrical impulses, which specially designed software then interprets as the actions a person wants to perform. Essentially, the chip can read a person's thoughts, much like a computer can recognize a voice and interpret what it is saying. In one of the rare times ever tested on TV, Dr. Donahue has set up an experiment to demonstrate the remarkable ability of BrainGate. He places the chip on his scalp and takes a seat in front of a computer that's been loaded with the BrainGate software. An arm, simulating Dr. Donahue's arm, appears on the screen. Also appearing is a ball. The challenge? Using only his thoughts, Dr. Donahue will attempt to control the arm to reach for the ball and move it. These are real-time images of the electrical impulses firing inside Dr. Donahue's brain as the chip listens in on his thoughts. His mind is asking the arm to move. After a few moments, the arm obeys. It slowly glides across the screen, reaches for the ball, and gently moves it. Amazingly, Dr. Donahue has moved the arm simply by willing it.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
In the wake of World War II, the U.S. government is engaged in a large number of secret medical experiments designed to help win the Cold War. Developing techniques for mind control to create a so-called Manchurian candidate. What is the extent of these brainwashing experiments? How did the CIA become involved in such far-reaching and disturbing research?
Man is on a quest to develop machines that read each other's thoughts. There have already been key breakthroughs, but how close are we to actual mind control?
Is it possible that hackers of the future could somehow manage to peek inside our own heads? Yes.
We'll uncover a machine that could soon